Hello and welcome to Muchmore Movie Reviews with me, Paul Muchmore. Today I'm going to be reviewing Southpaw. Southpaw is a sports drama film directed by Antoine Fuqua, I think that's how you say it, who has directed films such as The Equalizer, Olympus Has Fallen, King Arthur from a few years back with Keira Knightley in. And this movie stars Jake Gyllenhaal as a boxer, Billy Hope. Now, lots of sports drama films, they start as a rags to riches story, so you go from bottom to the top. Well, Gyllenhaal in this film starts at the top, crashes to rock bottom, comes back to the top. Well, it's the story of his rise back to the top. He starts off as light heavyweight champion of the world with a record of 43 wins, 0 losses. But then a severe family tragedy hits and he goes to rock bottom, loses almost everything. So then he must make drastic changes to his life if he wants to get back to the top. So it's a fairly cliched story, but yeah, not a fan of boxing particularly. I don't get really the appeal of watching people punch each other's lights out. It's just too violent for me. But there aren't actually that many boxing scenes in this, but the ones that they do have are there to sort of highlight the change in Billy Hope's character, how he changes from this aggressive punch guy to a more sort of subdued tactical fighter, and how it changes and affects his personal life too. Some of these scenes are actually some of the best shot of the film. I quite liked how in this film they had quite a few first person shots in these sequences, which really sort of showed you, got you into the sort of the shorts, I guess, of Gyllenhaal's character, and you saw the violence that these people go through to become sort of heroes to many people, I guess. Unfortunately, the film isn't very original. It uses all your sort of typical boxing film like cliches, like training montages and, you know, kid from a rough background trying to make things work in his family and his life. He's an orphan, which is typical, but the highlight of the movie is definitely Jake Gyllenhaal. Like he did for Nightcrawler, has undergone like a massive transformation. He's seriously sort of beefed up for this role, which, seeing that his last sort of role that well I can remember from last year was Nightcrawler, where he was a sort of weedy little man. He lost weight for that and then gained weight for this, so he's really sort of puts himself into the role, and it's a really intense performance, you know, and if you're a fan of his work, I'd definitely sort of recommend it for that. He does well in showing the sort of transformation between someone who is really sort of like aggressive, like, and you're sort of worried for him at the start about his character, and he goes through some quite hard times, but you see him sort of grow in discipline for the sake of his family and for his life. So if you want to watch this film, I'd probably avoid watching the trailer that I've put up there, because it does give away lots of the main plot points, which I'm trying to avoid in this video. But I really hate when trailers do this. Like Terminator Genesis recently did that, spoiled a massive plot point, which I would absolutely loved to see in the cinema, but unfortunately they felt they had to ruin it to get people to come. While it was a pretty entertaining movie, not a lot actually stood out about it. Like, you could probably put together bits of other boxing movies and get this movie. There are a few plot points that seemed shoehorned in, like just to move the plot along. Like, minor spoiler, he's won 43 fights, tragedy happens, and suddenly he's bankrupt. No sign of that happening before this tragedy happens, but it just seems like another thing added on just to sort of make it even more, whoops, let's get him down to the bottom so he can get back up again. But it sort of has something to say there about how sports agents and all their entourages leech off of these sports stars. They're being controlled in every aspect of their life, but it doesn't really do too much with that. It's more a plot device to get him to rock bottom. Now, in his road to redemption, he meets your sort of typical Mr. Miyagi, not Mr. Miyagi, but your typical coach that doesn't want to work with him, but eventually he does. And the way that he sort of gets him to work with him, that feels a bit thing like there's some sort of interesting sort of dynamics going on between these two characters. It's probably a highlight of the film, but certain parts about it just feel like, yeah, plot advancement. Now, on top of that, Hope's relationship with his daughter is another major part of the film, but it doesn't actually sort of seem to flow. Like, one scene, like she really doesn't want to be taken away from him, but then the next scene, she hates him. It just doesn't seem to have the sort of flow. Like, if you could see some scenes in between that from the daughter's perspective, maybe it would work better, but otherwise it did feel a bit shoehorned in to create conflict. So overall, it was an enjoyable movie. If predictable, it's been done better, it's been done worse too. And although the hip-hop tinged soundtrack sort of tells you it's a modern film, really, like, without that, it could have been made any time. It's really a sort of like one of those sort of classic style boxing movies. So the main cast is pretty strong. That's probably the highlight of it. Apart from 50 Cent doesn't seem to really stand out, but you don't really expect that. And there's a weird cameo from Rita Ora, some drug addict, and yeah, I didn't really see the point in that part of the film. But despite Gyllenhaal's great performance, it's a pretty average movie. So if you think it's your sort of thing, definitely go and see it. But overall, I'd give it a 3 stars. So thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Give us a like. Let me know what you thought of the film if you did it. See you next time.